Thanks, everyone. Hello. My name is Christopher Guess. I am an ICFJ Knight Fellow. Sorry if I keep screwing my screen around a little bit there. The Zoom stuff is a little messy. I'm a Knight International Journalism Fellow. I am based in Sarajevo, Bosnia, working with the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project. Been there almost 2 years now. This is one of the two projects that I am working on. Well, I'm working on a bunch of stuff, but this is one of the two main ones. Joining me here is also Emily, who is the editor-in-chief of Maidan TV, an Azerbaijani broadcast internet news source. He's probably in Berlin, maybe some other random city. I never know where he is. I'm joining you from France. Okay, so we'll get into it. This is about the PushOut project. It's about mobile apps for media, and we'll start going now. Okay, so when I started my fellowship, one of the things that I was looking into is current state of affairs for mobile applications. So I started looking around, and there's a couple things here. So right now, for most newspapers, not all, but most, the best that they can possibly do is a mobile optimized site. Most of them don't even have that. And they pretty much all rely on social media. So Facebook, Twitter, and things like that, where you're dependent on clicks and shares to make your stories more visible. And barring that, you end up in a pay-for-play system, trying to promote your pages on Facebook by paying extra money so other people see it. If you're a news source, that can get very expensive if you're doing it for a story. Emma, do you mind muting your microphone real quickly?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Do you mind muting while I keep going?
Okay.
Thank you. Not a problem. Okay, we'll come back to him at the end of the presentation. I'm sure he'll have some interesting things to say, as always. Okay, so continuing. So you're stuck in the Facebook pay-to-play system. It's often difficult to retain readers day to day. Many of the organizations at the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project that I work at are small investigative centers in Eastern Europe and Central Asia. They often have just, maybe if they're lucky, a team of 5 to 10 reporters, maybe 1 or 2 other folks. And, oh, sorry, I forgot to mention, if you could please hold all questions until the end, I will get to them then. The presentation software isn't really conducive while I'm giving a presentation to answering questions and reading them and everything. Okay, so yeah, small organizations, they don't have many people, and they often don't produce daily content, or if they do produce daily content, it's very small things. While people are often expecting that when they open, a website, they want to see new things. So people tend to not come back to a lot of these pages after they read one story because it's difficult to grab their attention. And when they're trying to actually fund things, that's a real problem because they don't have a consistent user base that they can reach out to for crowdfunding. So the answer that some organizations have, I call the holy grail, or at least they think it is, I think it's pretty good, is mobile apps. So I started looking around at the mobile app ecosystem, all the big ones, right? And I started wondering, what makes them different? And so they're not that different. They're all expensive and confusing. They're all custom jobs, right? Everything is, basically you're going to pay at least 15,000, probably closer to 50,000 euros per platform. So 50,000 for Android, 50,000 for iOS. Not to mention all the back-end development that you have to do to make sure there's an API available and, increasing features, et cetera, et cetera. It often takes 4 to 6 months minimum for each app. I know this because I am a software developer in addition to being a journalist, and I did this for a number of years in places like New York City, where, I would charge at least this much, and it would take this amount of time because you usually have 3 other people on the project too. The single freelancer doesn't really do it. And if you try to change your CMSs, which a lot of news organizations are doing these days, they're switching around, trying out to see what works best every year or two. It's a lot of pressure to change these around. You have to release new versions of the apps, hope that the old versions are still around, and et cetera. And developers are a huge pain in the ass to work with. We are fragile little snowflakes and really like to take things like vacation, and newsrooms and developers often have a sort of a heated battle going on against each other. So like I was saying before, I decided to look around and see what's up. So this is the New York Times, the Guardian. You're going to start to see some familiarities here between Spiegel and Le Monde and El País and the Times of India and stuff. They all look the same. They all do the same thing. All of them, they basically show stories and images and not a whole lot else. So I came up with this. The logo is subject to massive change, but the project is called PushOut. And it looks like this. Look familiar? To me, it does. You see the stories, you can read the stories, you can share. There's a little search feature there. And here's what it all can do. Like I said, you can view your current headlines, you can read your most recent stories. Right now, it only supports 10 recent stories. I'm working on it. It's coming soon. You can search through your entire history that's stored in your CMS, though. You can have inline images. So as you're reading the story, you know, the images show up in the story, which is a really nice feature for especially some of the longer investigative pieces people like OCCRP and such do. You can share, of course. It supports multiple languages. It's currently translated into English, Serbian, Bosnian, Russian, Azerbaijani, and Bulgarian. And it's quite easy to, we're going to be adding a couple more really soon, but it's very easy to add it to whatever language you want to publish in. It's about 30 words in a text file. It's quite nice. One of the other great features that I really needed to put in immediately, because a lot of the places that that I work in often have, you know, low or minimum bandwidth or wildly varying bandwidth, and that can even include New York City if you're on the subway, for instance. So what you can do is you can cache your articles for offline reading. When you load up the stories, they stick around even if you launch the app again. So your users always have access to their stuff. And the big thing, the one thing that really I think works very well here is that you can receive push notifications on the app. So when you publish a new story, even if someone hasn't opened your app in, say, 3 weeks, they will get a notification right there on their home screen, buzzing in their pocket. You know, all of us, they're sort of addicted to that little buzz, you know, that little dose of serotonin that we can all get. And this allows you to play off that for your readers. So they can actually, so you can tell them when new stories are coming out. They don't have to continuously be coming back to your site over and over and over. One of the features that is also very nice is you can use those same push notifications to solicit, I say semi, it works, in-app donations. So you can say, hey, thanks for reading our story last week. We're working on part 2. Would you like to give €5 for the cause? It also features full analytic tracking with plugins for, right now it supports Crashalytics by Twitter's Fabric. There's also plugins for Google Analytics. We're working on Pivot if some of you are more open source type people. Very easy to extend it if you're a developer and have like a day, basically. As I mentioned before, there's donation support built into the app as well. Also, thank you, Maydon, for forcing me to do this. There is YouTube integration. So if you have YouTube videos in your stories, there is a entire custom in-app player. It doesn't shoot you out to another app or something like that. I actually wrote the entire iOS interface for it myself because YouTube doesn't offer it. I'm actually extremely proud of that feature. And this is what it looks like. It's a couple different parts. So you have your standard CMS backend right there. There is currently a couple plugins that I'm going to get into in a second for that. Then there's the push middleware, the backend server, which you have to run. It's very easy to set up. Again, I'll get into it in a second. And then there's the iPhone and iPad and Android apps. And in between those is a generator script. So there's no actual coding necessary to set this up if you're running WordPress or a couple other of the CMSs that I've already built in support for. Literally, you just set the colors and the logos for your app. In the generator, you run a single script, and it just spits them out, and they work. It's sort of liken it to WordPress for mobile apps. I sort of hate that phrasing. It's very hip and popular in various Silicon Valley VC boardrooms, but It really is. The goal of this is to try to make apps a lot easier to publishers, just like WordPress made web publishing much easier for potential publishers as well. So here's what the backend server can handle itself right now. It's quite a bit actually, but it integrates with a bunch of different types of CMSs. Right now, there's a really great WordPress plugin, Joomla, if you're still using that as a CMS. We have plugins for that as well. There is SourceFabric's NewScoop, which Maidan is currently running and is a great company out of Berlin. There's also support for custom APIs. So if you have a CMS that already puts out a JSON API, it's really easy to just plug it in with very minimal additional coding, maybe a day or two of a developer's work time. That went faster than I expected. I don't know what's going on. Hold on. My button got stuck on my computer. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so for a little bit of a techie thing, I apologize, folks. You can deploy on any standard cloud provider. So you got Heroku, Amazon's, AWS, Google's, App Engine, Microsoft's Azure platform. If you're in the cloud, if you're running your own servers, it's very easy to run it in any sort of container. For the backend, there's full user management for your system. So, so you can delete people, you can create new journalists, you can reset the password, your standard stuff as you would expect, so that only the people that you want to send out push notifications can send out push notifications. Probably your social media person, something like that. And with the entire push notification management system, you get to test notifications to certain users. You get to resend notifications if you want to. Probably not a great idea, but it's still in there. It also tracks the number of users and the types of devices they're on, so you can get a better view of the type of readership that has your app installed on a day-to-day basis. So why should you use Push? There's this whole project. You might have your own mobile app. You might be looking into one, but you got a pretty decent mobile optimized website. Why do you need Push? Okay, so the setup time is very, very fast. It is less than 1 week, much less than 1 week. If you ask me to do it, it usually takes me a couple hours. Someone new, a day or two. Compared to the standard 6+ months to have 2 apps and all the testing involved, all the code's open source. It is available for you to take, modify, improve, hire somebody else to add a feature that you don't have already and push it back to everyone else. That'd be great, by the way. Right now, I'm constantly updating and adding features to the code base as well, probably a new feature every 2 or 3 days. So there's always new stuff coming out. There's always new features that you can start using yourself and also adding out to your users. An app is going to be a lot more stable and a lot faster than your standard mobile optimized website, or God forbid, a non-mobile optimized website. Your readers can read it when they're on a plane or in a train or walking down the street. It uses up a lot less data for their own mobile devices as well. So, and you have the push notifications. They incentivize the user to read your work. You can solicit the donations, the crowdfunding, the entire system I was already speaking about earlier. And it's already in production for a bunch of people. So right now I have these. This is it. We have OCCRP, the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, based in Sarajevo and in Bucharest, Romania. That app's currently in English. We have Maidan TV. I mean, it's going to speak about this in a few minutes, which is an amazing Azerbaijan reporting group. They get something like 1/3 of Azerbaijan's population reading their site every month. It's absolutely nuts, and they're a great success story for this project. A couple thousand installs across already, and it's in Azeri, Russian, and English, so it's all 3 languages. We have Creek in Serbia. They have it in Serbian. Bevel, which is another really interesting investigative center out of Bulgaria. So that was not a language I was expecting to put into the app anytime soon, but when Bulgarians come around, Bulgarians come around. For that, we also have the Russian, yep. And these languages are, you don't need to custom do them for each one of, if you want to support Russian, You literally type RU and it works. Sends in Serbia, Rise Moldova. So if any of you are Romanian organizations, we have it in your language there. And here's what's coming up next. I'm always adding features, like I said. So one of the next big things I'm going to do is Facebook Live push notifications. You will be able to go live on Facebook, send out a push notification, and it'll open up in your app right there so that your readers can see it without having to install the Facebook app and do all that stuff. I want to add more CMSs. I want to know what you guys actually use besides WordPress and Joomla and Newscoop and a couple other custom things. Drupal's on the radar for that. ICFJ wants to integrate this, and their system is Drupal, so pretty good reason. I also want to add some better support for the current ones so you can send push notifications straight from the back end, but I need to hear what people need, and then I can add stuff. The setup right now is a little bit complicated. It's pretty well documented, but I'm trying to automate that, and I have some pretty good reasons to do so. Again, for the techies, full continuous integration, continuous deployment. Right now, it's your standard push and pull system on Git, but I want to add it so that if you want, you can always have the most up-to-date version running. And another neat little feature for those of you in countries that have a penchant for blocking websites and apps. One of the things I want to add, I've talked to a couple folks in the Tor community about this, is that if the main server is blocked, the app will, and the goal is to have the app seamlessly spin up Tor in the background to go around any, state-sponsored, any sort of state-sponsored scrutiny. As I said, tell me the features you want to see. I want to see more. Okay, technical details. So I apologize right now if this goes over anybody's head. If you've done any web development, it should be fairly easy. I'm more than happy to answer the questions on this. It's nitty gritty, but for the techies out there. All of the apps are written in their native language. So you have Java for Android, you have Objective-C for iOS. It's not in Swift. No, well. Basically, that means that all of those solutions out there where you can basically make a web page into an app and download it really easily, they're terrible. They're slow. They're buggy as heck. One of them is called PhoneGap. If any of you have looked into this, I completely eschewed that. It's all native code that I wrote myself for all the languages, with a little help from some other folks as well. The caches are stored in a standard persistent memory on your phone. So NS user defaults for iOS and the equivalent for Android. And all the formatting for the text in the stories is done via a small portion of HTML. So all the formatting that you do for your stories in your CMS, all the bolds and the colors and everything, that all shows up in the app too. So you can still keep the story structure even when it moves over. Even more tech, the push server, the middleware there, so it's a vanilla Ruby on Rails Force app providing a RESTful JSON interface and some more front-end user-based stuff. It formats all the text so that it looks great no matter what CMS it comes out of. So the apps always get an expected format of how the story should actually look, where the images should show up. So it works across a bunch of different platforms. It runs your standard Postgres database. And out of the box, it fully supports HTTPS and SSL with certificate pendings for the best security you can have for a website, which is really important for people like us at OCCRP, where security is number one. And from the get-go, this has all of the standard, exactly what you expect. It uses a really great little project called Mikush for the push notifications, because Apple and Google make it purposely exhausting to implement normally. It's a great open source project. And the entire system for when you're deploying it is Dockerized. So if you use Docker, which if you're a sysadmin, you probably should be, you run one command and everything just pops up. It's really great. And if you're running everything on Amazon, I actually do have an Amazon machine image available for EC2, so you don't even have to run Docker. It just exists when you boot it. It's in alpha right now, but if anybody out there is interested in it, just let me know and I'll scrub some stuff out of it and give it over. All the CMS plugins are custom written, again, by me. A lot of PHP in there. They're not dependent on any other third-party plugins, so they install completely on their own. They're often very, very tiny, which makes everything a lot easier. Again, you know, it supports multiple languages for WordPress if you use WPML. JSON output for CMSs that don't supply their own RESTful API. That's basically what it does. It creates an API for you guys. And it's all available. Well, it will be by like tomorrow. It's on a private repository right now, but it will be all hosted on the OCCRP GitHub, where we have a bunch of other really awesome open source projects that you should check out as well. The tech team at OCCRP is brilliant, and they do a good job. Okay, so that's me. That's the project, and here's my contact info. And I guess there are questions. We'll move to questions now. Or actually, no, we won't move to questions. Sorry, Emin, would you like to speak a little bit about how you guys have used it at Maidan TV?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you are not Miranda, but awesome.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I appear as Miranda Grant. I think I overdid with too much of covering and hiding what we're doing and how we're doing it. But anyway, it's fun. Well, my name is Emin Milli, and as Chris said, we are one of the beneficiaries of this project. For us, it's amazing to have such a great resource because we are a small online media outlet working in a dictatorship, and we are working from different countries, and it's actually very expensive for us to, like, it's impossible for us to hire anyone like Chris. So it would be very difficult, if not impossible, or would cost us a lot of money. So I think it's a great project because it allows us to use this resource. We have right now several thousand downloads of the app, and I think that it's only the beginning, because as Chris said, he's working on the app, and we also just started to use notifications. We're planning the entire now more sort of a campaign to communicate to our larger audience, to ask them more often to download the app, because at some point we expect that our website can be blocked. We expect that a lot of problems will come, and then the people who have app, they will have access to our content. So we're trying to ask our audience to use more and more the app, so they can have a direct access to us, and that wouldn't be blocked. Well, what can I say? I think that one of the keys of our success was the strategy of combining forces with organizations like OCCRP, with people like Chris, with Guardian, BBG, with smaller and larger media outlets, partners, and that's how we actually survived in a place and in a country where we shouldn't survive, and we definitely shouldn't, according to our government, shouldn't reach out to 1/3 of the population in the country. But this project helped us, to I think start working in the direction of securing this basically audience we have, and we are preparing. I mean, we always expect the worst, We hope for the best, but we expect the worst, and we are getting ready for it. So this project is not just helping to reach out to more audience, but also is making sure that we will have access to, people will have access to our content when even darker times will come, which is now happening in our region every day with Turkey, Russia, and all the countries around. And so this is very briefly what I had to say. I don't know if you have questions. I'm ready to answer, Chris or someone from the audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, so questions, anybody? I see one hand raised. Nothing. Okay. If anyone is interested in it, please let me know. You can shoot me an email. You can send me a Demira. Sorry, I'm sorry if I completely screwed that up. There we go. What is the process? Right, so the process is fairly simple. Basically, if you have one of the supported CMSs, you install the plugin, you set up the backend very quickly, and then you decide the logos and the colors that you want for the app, and you run it in the generator. It's actually fairly basic. It's going to be it'll be quite well documented by the when the repositories come up later in the week. Fairly self-explanatory. I'm also going to be recording a video that will step you through the entire process. So everyone, it'll be very simple for normal people. Yes, it is available for anybody. It's open source. So anybody that wants to take it, no matter what organization you're from, the code is there. It exists. Yeah. So how many push notifications can be sent at once? At once, I mean, it's like a couple thousand a second, I believe, is the current limit on APNS and GCM. So the backend server handles all of it very quickly. So you push the send button once and it just cycles through and sends all at once, as many as installs you have of the app. There's no limit. It does not currently support any ads. Unfortunately, that's a byproduct of Eastern Europe. I mean, Will probably nod his head in agreement on this, but advertising on many of the organizations that I work with is simply impossible because then the companies wouldn't be able to actually do any business in the country. If you're interested in ad support, it would normally be something around, like, there's some ad networks that you probably use. There is one feature you could use. It's called promotions. And what it lets you do is it lets you set by language text and a link when you click on it to show up at the top of the app every time, like whenever within a date frame. So if you're promoting, a new special feature, investigative piece or something like that, you can actually put it in there and have it show up 3-4 weeks down the road, issue an update, and then when you're ready to launch, it will launch. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
yes, any questions?
Yeah, you have a question there. Someone is asking, how does Maidan TV use its app on a daily basis? Does it require a lot of extra work?
No, it doesn't require any work. I mean, the app is there automatically. Everything what comes on our website goes also on the app. So people, and I know people who are using only app. So for example, they are just, basically I understand it's automatic connection. So anything that comes on the website is going to your app. We have no extra work to do. thanks to Chris. Like it's if we want to notify people, we try not to do it like too often, not to bother them. But our strategy is maybe 2 times a week, like to send notification if there are some big or very interesting story, or we think our leaders need to pay attention to this. Yeah, then we do this, but no extra work. We're trying to identify bugs, and we're trying to make suggestions to develop it and to make it better. But there is no really a lot of work involved in this from our side.
VJ asks, if CMSs can develop vulnerabilities, e.g. Get hacked, how would something like that affect the app? So the app pulls its data from the CMS. So if the data changes on the CMS, it will change in the app. Just think of it as sort of, a second screen for sort of your CMS, one that's highly optimized. There would be about an hour delay because everything on the app side is cached once an hour. So if you get, a ton of response, if a ton of people are using the app at once, only the very first request will be a little slow. After that, everything else is light and quick. But that's actually a good point. Because everything is automatic, it has to be automatic. There's not much else I can say about that. Sorry. Can the app accommodate live Facebook or live audio shoutcast streaming? So yes, the Facebook Live is something I am actively looking into add right now. It's a feature that's, if I had my to-do list next to me, I'd be able to show it to you like literally in the list for the next few weeks. And shoutcast, no, I'm not actually aware of that. If you want to send me over a link of it, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to, more features for everyone is better. And can we get a copy of your presentation? Of course. I'm assuming ICFJ can add a link to it somewhere onto the page. Can 20,000 or 30,000 people receive the notifications all at once? They might get it like within a minute or two of each other, but yes. Yes, they can. I mean, Apple's notifications can handle millions of requests a minute, so it's not hard at all. Anything else from anybody? No, the apps are on the Android Play and Google Play and the iOS App Store. If you search for Made on TV, and you can download it and see they have the latest and newest version. It's pretty great. Mm-hmm. Okay. By the way, you can country limit it yourself. That's a setting in the app stores, not in the app itself. So. How do you get more details about how it functions? You email me. My email is cguess@gmail.com. You want to push advertisements on behalf of the clients via the app. Using the push notification system for advertisements is probably not a great idea. It really, really annoys the heck out of users. Sorry, could somebody at ICFJ put in my email address into the messages? I'd appreciate that. You can. I mean, the push notification, you write that yourself, right? So, it doesn't pull just from the headline, and that's actually very bad practice. Just pushing out a headline is bad. You want it to look more like a tweet. So you can write whatever the heck you want in there if you care to. I would recommend against pushing out advertisements to all your users, simply because that it can get very annoying. I mean, if you have Le Monde or El Pais's app, it gets really it gets a little bit overwhelming every time, you know, some obscure French guy dies. There's 15 notifications about it. Thank you for putting my contact info. It's right there on the in the chat. Somebody else there's 2 people raising their hands. I don't know what raising your hand means, but you guys have both been asking a lot of questions. So please keep going. I have tons of time. Basically with this, my idea is to put a lot of people out of work. No, the pushes cannot include images at the moment. That is a really good idea though. That's a great feature add. I'm going to put that on my list of features to add to the push notifications. Thank you. Yeah, I want more of those. Give me more ideas, please. I love it. No, it's a little bit more than just the plugin. You probably do need to hire a developer, but only for about 3-4 days instead of 6 months. The plugin is one part of it, but you also need to like start up a server. So it takes a little bit more effort than that. My goal is to automate that extremely heavily. And actually some of my coworkers at OCCRP, they sort of revel in that and told me to start expecting pull requests on it anytime. So I'm excited for that. It's going to be getting a lot easier. It's already pretty easy. I can set up an entire instance in about 20 minutes. For a new person that knows their way around servers, about 3-4 hours. Am I hireable? Shoot me an email and let's talk about that. How does the app help a journalist, or is it aimed at the reader only? Well, it helps the journalist by getting more readers. But no, it is not designed for, you know, it's not designed to help the newsroom collect news better. There's been talk about putting a submission link into it so that people can send in their tips. But right now, that's not in there. I mean, if you want that feature, let me know. I know you had mentioned it a long time ago. Okay, everyone. I think we're going to wrap this up now. I mean, thank you so much for joining me here. I really appreciate your kind words as always. Hopefully, I'll see you very soon. Could a developer add a submission feature? Oh, last question. Yes. Yeah, it's open source again. So if you have a developer that wants to add features, it's just do a pull request and it can show up. Not a problem at all. You know, fork the code. It's easy. That's what the open source project is, you know, platform is designed for. So yeah, no, totally doable. But okay. It is, yeah. So we're going on about 45 minutes here. I think that's about the time limit that everyone sort of wanted to keep it at. So again, thank you, Emin, as always. I will see you soon, I hope, next time I'm in Berlin, which probably will be soon, because it always is. And again, if any of you want help with this, want to talk about it more, just shoot me an email, PM me, or don't PM me, just mention me on Twitter, and I'll be more than happy to talk you through some of this stuff and maybe even get you up and running. You know, I want to make this easy. I want to get more of these out there for more newspapers. Okay, thanks everyone. I hope you have a good day, and cheers.